Jane Austen's Emma is about a
pretty woman and a spoiled child
who thinks she's so good at judging people's character.
But people, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations, I am the expert.
She likes to matchmake, and after one success, it leads her to think that she can matchmake anyone. And in the process, she hurts one of her friends, she breaks the heart of a very nice farmer, and really embarrasses herself. Mr. Knightley, her cousin, who is 16 years her elder, scolds her for most of the things she does wrong. Out of the 4 or 5 adaptations of Emma, which one is the best? Or who portrayed Emma the best? Well, the actress who played Emma the very, very best is myself. But I can't be biased, so I'm not going to include myself in this comparison. But if you would like to see scenes of me playing Emma, just click this little white tab up here somewhere. Also, remember, this is just my opinion. You are totally entitled to your own opinion. I'm just expressing mine on YouTube because I really didn't like somebody else's. And from what I read of their comments, a lot of people felt the same way I did. So count down. My least favorite Emma is Emma 1972. Now, there were some things that I didn't like about this version. I mean, first of all, Emma seemed more conceited about the fact that she was always making mistakes. I remember she quoted,
"Mr. Knightley was merely pursuing his self-appointed task of putting me in my place and keeping me well aware of my faults, were you not, sir?"
I said nothing. It was you.
To have taken upon yourself, I grant you.
Of course, another problem with this version is that it is pretty old and the quality is not the best. Another thing I didn't like about this adaptation was that it is so old. It's kind of drawn out a little bit with dialogue and scenes and such. My brothers think it's kind of boring. As long as you're able to follow the dialogue, it actually really carries the wit of Jane Austen. It's a bit unprofessional because it is so old. Camera quality, and a lot of old British stuff like this was actually really terrible quality. Sorry, anyone who's British. Now, there are some pros to this version. The dialogue was still really funny, as long as you can follow it, which is sometimes hard, especially if you're really tired or you just don't understand all the words they use. One thing about this adaptation that none of the others can top is the fact that Emma actually apologized to Miss Bates, which has never happened in any of the newer adaptations of Jane Austen's Emma. I haven't read the book yet, so I'm not sure if that actually happens in the book or not. But thumbs up for this version, for her apologizing to Miss Bates, which is, I'm sure, what Mr. Knightley meant for her to do when he scolded her. Number 3 is Emma 1996. Now, this version was better, somewhat, than the 1972, in that it was more professional, being a newer adaptation, you know, things were clearer to understand, you know, it flowed really well, but being the shortest adaptation and running time, everything was really crammed in there and everything happened way too fast, like almost like a heart attack. I mean, really. So, some things were probably, details were even left out, maybe. I sound really unsure of that fact.
Yes, that's what I was just about to say. You sound unsure. I was just thinking that.
Also, Emma was a brunette, which has never happened except for in this adaptation, which takes some getting used to, and I'm still not a huge fan. I imagine Emma as more of a blonde than a brunette, but, I mean, no offense to anyone who's dark-headed, but just my opinion. Number 2 is 1996 again. Emma. I know I don't have the cover to this VHS. It's a long story. But basically, it's the Gwyneth Paltrow version. And this one is number 2 because Emma is, again, blonde. And it is actually very funny. It's
one of the more comical versions.
It's one of the more comical versions of the movie. Of course, still, it is not a mini series. It's only like 1 minute over 2 hours, so you're cramming a lot in there in 2 hours. But this version was really funny. It was good. I don't really have any cons about it. I mean, you know, it was different from the normal Emma you're used to in that they did archery, which was an interesting twist to it. Also, Harriet is played by a redhead, which was a little bit different from what Harriet has looked like in any of the other versions until 2020. I imagine Harriet as a very petite blonde because her character, yeah.
I imagine
But
Harriet Smith as a very petite blonde person.
But the Harriet in this was, her character was almost not quite as vulnerable as the other Harriets were. So that was sort of a plus. Number 1, Emma 2009. Well, first of all, this is a mini series. It's like almost 4 hours, maybe. So you've got plenty of room to explain everything, almost. You've got plenty of room to include everything. Not that newer is always better, but the costumes, the dances, the music, the camera quality was better. The actors did a really good job, especially Emma. I would say that she portrayed Emma the very best of all 4 or 5 of the actresses who play Emma. One thing I did not like about the 2009 Emma is Frank Churchill. I mean, yeah, in the original story, he's kind of a jerk. But in this one, based on this one, because I haven't actually read the book, he's really a jerk. I like the Gwyneth Paltrow version more for this fact, because Frank Churchill actually gives Jane Fairfax some attention, who is his fiance. And in this one, he leads Emma on far too much and really neglects Jane Fairfax. And at the end of the movie, you can't but feel sorry for Jane Fairfax for ending up with Frank Churchill after the way he treated her and for the way he treated Emma. That's really all I have to say about it. As I mentioned, there is a 5th adaptation of Emma. I did not include that one in this review, pretty much, because of the simple reason that I have not actually seen this version. But I have watched plenty of the scenes from the movie on YouTube to know that I would regard it as a highly reprehensible adaptation of Jane Austen's Emma. This is one example of the fact that newer is not better. The actors were almost terrible. And everyone was kind of ugly. I mean, especially Mr. Knightley. Okay, I'm not even joking. Mr. Knightley has always been pretty good looking. I mean, they cut it pretty close in this version because he needed a haircut, okay? But he grows on you. 2020 did Emma an injustice. I mean, okay, yeah. So the point and purpose of the 2020 adaptation was probably to make it more of a romance, from what I've heard. This is not a romance, okay? This is not your mushy Hallmark type of movie. This is a story where everything works together to make Emma a better person, to help her grow. And in the end, her and Knightley do end up together, okay? That's just spoiler alert. Mr. Knightley knew that Emma was far better than how she acted sometimes, and that's why he scolded her, so that she would grow up. It wasn't until Frank Churchill arrived and provoked jealousy that Mr. Knightley realized he was in love with Emma.
Maybe I have Frank Churchill to thank for making me first aware of being in love with you. I have a feeling that it started the exact moment he returned home.
Emma doesn't realize her feelings either until she thinks she's really going to lose Mr. Knightley. So I hope you enjoyed this comparison review video of Jane Austen's Emma. Please give me a like if you enjoyed this video. Even subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this. And please comment below to tell me if you agree with my conclusion on this matter. And if you don't, comment below and tell me what your favorite Emma adaptation is. Thanks for watching.